Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. We're going to talk about the Q&A for what Smilegate has chosen to answer for the 2nd anniversary and what we may see in the future. I'm going to go through it very quick in terms of I'm not going to read their question out. You should definitely check it out yourself in terms of what question, how are they answering it. I'm going to give up a sum up and also my highlights and thoughts on what they talked about. So the first question was asked what criteria was used to determine the hero balancing. I mean, they surfaced kind of like a spreadsheet kind of thing, and it's not blurry just on my screen. The image is blurry. I can't make out any of the things. I can hardly make out the numbers, let alone the names. And of course, I don't read Korean, so that would be another problem. If it was in English, probably I could read a bit of it or make out what some of the words are there. So I'm pretty sure the Korean players or people that can actually just read Korean in general, they should be able to deduce that. But even though there is data and proof that they probably do research into it, is a lot of stuff that was still unknown. So the second question was will the balance related data be made public? They talk about the PvE stuff that they have. There's a statistics page in Hunt and Abyss, which really only shows what are the heroes that people use most often, or team comps. I made a mention this on the Twitch stream last night when we were reviewing this live, that that doesn't really help as well because it's usually a gear check. So therefore, watching content creators, watching how people run hunts, I think is very, very important. So minimum stats you have to get into hero before that team actually works. Otherwise, it is a lot of trial and error, and the community is very good in terms of sharing their ideas of how to do a certain expedition, how to do a certain hunt, or any kind of PvE content. PvP heroes, they are saying that they're not going to release the data, the balance data, and to be honest, I don't think they need to. I don't think the answer to this really matters, in my opinion. And my only fear is that if they do release it into PvP, it's not what they fear. They fear that if the data is released, the players will be fixated on a certain team combination and then hamper the arena diversity. I honestly don't think that's gonna really happen. That wouldn't matter. Have you seen arena lately? Remnant Violet, RB, Tempest Surin, or Tempest Surin, Rowana, and Fallen Cecilia. Those three are core right now, especially champ and higher. So I mean that is regardless if they made it public or not. Please, if you're watching this video and hearing my voice here, don't think that I'm criticizing Smilegate at all. I'm just saying these are just the facts. But if they did release any of this, honestly, I think it's just more work for them. The reason is because we have a diverse community. Everybody has their own opinions. I myself included. I'm not perfect. I have my own opinion. I just have a way to air my voice, so I'm usually more heard than, let's say, just a person on Discord or something like that. And of course I have you guys, the lovely audience, to hear my opinions. But what I mean is if they release this kind of data, all we're gonna get is people are saying, no, this hero should be balanced based on this statistic. But honestly, it's subjective. I would say just leave this, leave the ball into the developers' court. They've done some really good balancing. This is a side topic. I still think that they should nerf heroes sometimes, even a bit, instead of just keep buffing them. I do know that it's probably more work if you nerf a hero, because that affects every other hero connected to that hero, how they respond to each other in the meta, either team composition or when they're opposing. So it's a lot more work if they're nerfing and balancing in terms of buff. It's just that just buffing only will probably only lead it to more power creep, which I don't think is necessary. We're always going to get power creep in gacha games. It's just that if you only buff characters, the power creep is probably going to be worse. But so far, I have to say that it's pretty good. So I mean, there are some heroes that are just too overpowered right now. I believe ML Tywin would be one of them. That's the general consensus. That's not just my opinion. But regardless, I don't need that data to be public myself. I think it's fine. This question is very important as well. Will the waiting period between the balance adjustments be reduced? And they're saying no, it's not. They have a sum up in this image here. It's very nice. There's a 2 weeks observation period, 2 weeks of the selecting of the heroes to balance, and then 1 week to design the verification. The verification of the design itself. that is very, very tough coming from the gaming industry. Like a 5-week cycle, and they do this like non-stop. They have to literally have a team, whether it's one person or there's more than one, have a team test this out. And in my opinion, 1 week verification, like design verification, is like probably not enough. And I think what that means is like internal test, and then 2 weeks of observing how players are using them and to what degree, etc, etc. That's a lot of work. So with that in light, I think that they did state down here that if they are going to shorten the process, it may cause instability. I have to say I 100% agree. I don't mind the kind of like once every 2 months you get a balance. My argument as a player is that yes, if it's too quick, I honestly would be pretty pissed off, because although they do have a lot of Mola improvements, it's still like a lot of, let's say for example, Tempest right now is like one of the best anti-cleave heroes you can have, paired along with Fallen Cecilia. I look at every building, I'm like, okay, I have a tough time facing this defense. I'm gonna build her right now. I'm gonna put all this Mola into her, and then the next week, they buff a hero that totally makes Tempest not really usable again, like on a defense team. Like if it's that quick, a lot of the work, a lot of the gearing you put into heroes, it's just gonna be too much. And the thing is though, we have to keep remembering they are releasing new heroes all the time as well, which then also adds like tipping scales to the balance, so to speak, the balance of the entire PvP meta. Whether something is meta changing, meta breaking, fit into the meta, it doesn't matter, it would still affect it. So for example, Holiday Euphine, just one hero dropping, Bazaar teams need real rework, like people putting like Assassin Sid before Bazaar or something like that, like something to shake up how they were using it before. So yeah, if they shorten the process, there's gonna just be a lot more problems. I think everybody can imagine that. So for people who disagree, apologies, but I disagree with you for disagree. I'm just kidding. So yeah, are there plans for Straze, Archdemon, Mercedes, Nilgao, Garo, NPCs to be playable heroes? I think Straze and Archdemon Mercedes would probably be my two top. Nilgao would have been interesting just because he was in the hero journal. Like Garo isn't, so that's why I'm like, okay, that's kind of a weird ask, but Nilgao was, but just because he's a boss though. Anyways, Straze and Archdemon Mercedes, long story short, it seems that they are looking into making Archdemon Mercedes into a hero. They touch upon it at the bottom of this this Q&A. So that means if they are looking into how Archdemon Mercedes may be used, maybe we will see Straze as well in the future. But I would say that these two are probably gonna be very, very, like, how do you say it? Not soon. You're not gonna get them soon. They do mention that because they're Moonlight heroes and they have no RGB counterpart, how are people gonna imprint them? So they're working out those kind of things. That's kind of interesting. Episode 3 heroes. This I don't know if I can zoom in with my setup right now, but the girl on top here with the dark hair, she looks pretty waifu. I did like an extra zoom in just to take a look at her. Before we got the dragon husbando, talked about it in part 1 of my my New Year's breakdown thing. And then we got the mech girl. She's literally standing on a hand of her mech, which is cool. I'm gonna skip down here a bit. We got 3-star heroes also kind of teased here, which is great. New 3-star heroes coming with the new episode. You can see the update is at September 17th, so that's not far away. We also have Doris' specialty change really soon, kind of tease right after Dollmaker Pearl Horizon. So this is pretty good. I think she looks really pretty, a lot more interesting than her original look. So yeah, and she's a really good healer. She's a really good hero. She's very slow, but very tanky. I mean, she has defense buffs for the full team. Defense buffing Soul Weaver. has healing over time, has heals, has a CR boost as well. So very good stuff. I wonder what she'll be like in specialty change. Give her 10 more speed and I think she'll be very, very, very meta. Are there plans to improve Mystic Metals? The long story is they're probably not going to. Can a hero rotation cycle for this coin shop be changed? They're looking into it. Right now it's looking into, they're saying that they have 19 ML5s, and I said before when I reviewed the coin shop feature that you literally only can see 12 heroes in a year, and I don't know if I want to wait a year. Like it kind of lowers the value of the shop for me. Like I said, the shop to me is not OP. The shop to me is a nice to have, and it is nice to have, so I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that for whatever reason they still think that it's, you know, it's good. You'll be able to meet the hero they want within a year. They literally said that. Look at this. With the coin shop rotation alongside with Mystic Summons, players will be able to meet the hero they want within a year. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Okay, and if an adjustment was okay, so yeah, they're looking into it, right? Updated in the second half of the year, so they want to look into it, to be able to potentially, yeah. Anyways, whatever. We'll just keep moving. Possibly guaranteed summoning and a system to artifacts, especially the limited artifacts, and they're looking into it, which I'm very, very happy about. They said also use of a knowledge of powder shop. I'm not quite sure like what that means. Maybe on the, it's a bit of speculation. This is not laid out here, but maybe what that means is that during that banner that artifact will be available in the powder shop, maybe. Because it being a limited, it will probably still have to be within that time frame. So that, you know, Smilegate can make bank on people wailing for those artifacts or heroes. So I don't think what they mean is like, oh, it'll be returning into a powder shop maybe in the future. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. But it would be interesting though that you can purchase it right away or something, like maybe when the banner is dropped. Are there any plans to implement a mass summoning system? This is interesting too. I really didn't think about it, but they were saying that Epic 7 has gone through like problems, especially we call it Raz running, right? On hype banner days, especially when the like servers like reset or whatever, usually it's almost impossible to summon, especially not on non-maintenance days. On non-maintenance days, when the clock hits the new rotation, generally if you're pulling on that hero like Holiday Euphine, for example, I summoned it recently, and yeah, we had a lot of Raz running. It was laggy, and they're basically saying that would amplify it, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. I forgot that's a problem. So unless they're changing somehow like how their summoning system works, which they're saying they're working on, I'd say like a quick fix, if they really want to get the mass summon out faster, a quick fix would be have like a time delay. So something like you can max summon this banner after 24 hours like of the banner release, and then that might mitigate some of the server lag issues, since most people generally like pulling, like they're itching for the next banner. I know free to play and pay to play, of course, they're like itching, like it's a gacha game. I get the itch. I just have the luxury of having you guys sometimes ask me to do viewer summons and stuff, so all my itches are scratched. But yeah, so people have the itch, so like once when the banner release, I don't blame them for like jumping on it and it's just like, oh, I pulled it in like 2 summons, or like, oh crap, I have to hit pity or whatever. You know, the YouTube comments, usually I get one of those 2. I get it in 1 summon, or I had to hit pity. Feels bad. So yeah, so like maybe just skip the 24 hours when the banner is released, and then have the mass summoning if they want to release it quick. I don't know how quick they want to release it though. Any plans to increase the equipment hero inventory limit? This is very cool. Finally a new inventory, like its own dedicated inventory space for artifacts. That's gonna be fantastic. They said it starts with 100, but you can expand it with Skystone up to 200. So realistically, that is 200 spaces. So you don't have to always like, you know, put some artifacts on some random placeholder. You can, they're saying that because there's so many more artifacts now. I have to agree that this is a good move. 200 spaces, man. I'm gonna max it out like almost immediately. I need that space from the artifacts. and also mass promoting system. This will be cool. I'm gonna talk about it when they actually release like the details, but it's something that we wanted. They've already designed it behind, you know, like Smilegate is very good. They're really listening to our feedback, right? They're not just like coming up with this like photoshopped image because we asked this question, right? They literally like prepared this stuff. But like I said, I do have to say that they chose these questions because they knew they can answer them, or they chose a question that they think is high priority to answer, because a lot of questions were submitted, but these were the ones chosen. So obviously they wanted to show their progress, which is good. How much progress has been made in regards to the equipment farming improvements? So that's at the end of this, I believe it's here. It talks about, was it not here? Well, they first talked about all the stuff that we got, and honestly they hit the mark. They delivered on the promises. They even give us the expeditions, which honestly were not expected. They were not expected. They're just like definitely something new. I think it's this part. Any plans to improve equipment farming? I love this part when it says that regarding we have to address two versions of our thoughts to heirs who have been playing for a long time and heirs who recently started playing. Something very, very good to consider. Onboarding newer players to get them to end game. Yeah, definitely take a read of this yourself as well. But some of the highlights I think is that we're getting a new gear with the new episode 3 coming out. They're 80 level gear, as you can see in the helmet here, the health set helmet. 80 level gear, man. If you roll 78s and they rolled like an 85, like I can only imagine the 80s would be so good. These free gears honestly have improved so much compared to some of the very old gears that they've given us in the past. They've improved so much in terms of like the roll of the stats. Is it here? I really want to okay, yeah, it's right here. So there's gonna be a new hunt introduced with new equipment sets. This is to address something about the speed and health, the tanky combinations dominating the game environment. And what I think what they mean is honestly what we're saying in RTA, and what's commonly known as the horseman. Honestly, it's like, you know, you pick a Ruel, you pick a DN, you pick some kind of defense buff for something like a Lenzi, a Crow. You have like a couple knights in there, and you just fight like that. You have like ML Tywin, you have F Cleary, Lilius, Fallen Cecilia, like all these knights. You have Dark Corvus as well, considered as a bruiser, ML Ravi. These guys are all like part of this kind of like tanky meta. Like cleave comps, unless you have just like the best gear on your full cleaving roster, you're not gonna cleave through that easily. A lot of RNG going against them and stuff like that. So they want to take a look at these some new sets. We were talking about this on stream chat last night. What was interesting is because I don't come from a background of Summoner's War. I think content creators and players who come from Summoner's War may have more ideas of what's coming, since immunity set was a big one. When immunity set was dropped with Azimanic hunts, Summoners War people were saying, oh, that's the next OP thing and you must have, and I kind of see why. So there's a lot of stuff that we talked about on the stream chat. I forgot what it's called. Basically, there's a set apparently allows you to have innate RNL. So like you have a chance to proc another turn. I don't know, man. I don't know if Smilegate's gonna introduce something like that. That'd be crazy. We started making fun and making a lot of jokes. Like basically you can take any single mechanic in this game and make it into a set. So you can maybe potentially have an evasion set. You can have, like what they said, RNL set. You can have, like, you know, self revive set. Self skill null set, self invincibility set, all this crazy stuff. Of course, we ended up starting to joke about it. It got very crazy. AOE team revive set and stuff like that. But I mean, the possibilities are endless right now. We will see soon. Obviously, it will probably be at least 3 to maybe 4 sets. So like Banshee and Golem having 4 sets, Wyvern and Azimanic having 3 sets. Maybe we'll see another 3 set. Most likely it'll be a light elemental hunt. That is the one that's missing at the moment, and will probably be the last hunt that we have. So whatever these equipment sets are, they're gonna really set the tone of the game, unless they're gonna introduce it some other way. like maybe a new element in the future. I don't have no idea. That's just way too much. But new hunts coming, so that's gonna be very exciting. Light elemental will most likely be it. Questions of are they gonna plan to increase Mologora? You know, I think a lot of the Mologora stuff that we talked about, and I always say Mologora is an issue. The only issue I have with Mologora really is because RTA. If there was no RTA, I honestly think that yes, Mola is very slow, but you wouldn't really need to feel the need to having to Mola everyone so quick. The only argument then would be like, hey Jagan, no, I still need my Mola because they're giving us so much heroes. I want to use the heroes and I can't use them if I don't have the Mola. But my question would be like, well, where are you going to use the heroes and do you have the gear for it? Now, generally speaking, in RTA, just because now even with the no duplicate class ban, if you're going to play that in the mock arena, you're going to need a larger roster. All right, you're gonna need a larger roster. That has always been the core of Mologora problem. The Mologora problem doesn't come from a bunch of whiny kids. Honestly, it's your roster, right? For people who disagree, just imagine you have like, I don't know, like you have 10 very solid heroes, right? 10 very, very solid heroes, fully Mola invested where you need them to be. And you need diversity. You can't just have like all your Molas and all your roster be only DPS, right? You need CR boosters if you're just gonna go pure DPS, or if you're gonna go bruiser fights, you need some tanks, you need some healers, you need some DPS bruisers. Just to think about that, they have a pre-ban, and imagine that pre-ban lands, it sinks your battleship. That pre-ban lands on one of those heroes that you made, and then onto the pick and ban phase. The player you fight against picks all of the characters that you have well built, and you're left with nothing. That is what I mean by Mologora problem. That's what I mean by Mologora problem. Regarding this though, the plans to increase it, honestly, with the stuff that they've done, it's a lot better. It still doesn't necessarily say that it fixes the problem, but I do want to keep this game. I am one of the firm believers that if the game goes power creep level too, like people can improve too fast, the game will die quicker. There is an aspect about the grinding, about the waiting, and even though you complain about the grinding, like I can never get speed gear, or I can never, you know, get the gear I want to finish off my Arbiter Vildred, there is something about the grind that keeps you coming back to it. So as a game designer myself, I don't believe that they should make it super easy to obtain the Mologora, but everything that they are doing so far is helping the issue, which I still have to say is great. But what I mean by Mologora problem is not because I'm complaining about Mologora. It is the problem though. It is the problem. With the heroes coming out at the speed that they're coming out, with the RTA, the diversity of RTA heroes, you do need Mola. That's it. It's just that, do we need more right now? Always, I think it will always be yes. It's almost like you always need more gold, or always need more inventory space, or you always need more of something. But at this point, I think Mologora is really good. They basically sum up all the stuff that they've improved with Mologora. They're looking into some way of even speeding up the friendship system, so you can potentially get the skill enhanced quicker. So anyways, let's move on. Are there any plans to improve the ability to gain gold, energy, equipment, artifact, or remove cost? They're thinking of potentially doing it by another 10% with the 9.3 update. So that's coming really quick. So that's good already. I didn't really think that we needed it myself. I think that with the energy from like the web events and stuff that we're getting, a lot more energy is usable now, in terms of like, if you're free to play and you're not like spamming Skystone to farm, if you're using the free energy just to farm, you're getting like enough gold. And the point of this game is like, it's not that you have to keep moving your gear around. That's the thing. It's like you want to hunt, you want to solidify your heroes. But there is definitely, I think, a power gap in terms of like when like maybe a mid game player, or even they just reached end game, they're looking at the top tier players and all the gear they have. They may have a sense of urgency, and so therefore it's like, okay, I gotta make my Arbiter Vildred look really good too, but I also need to make my Remnant Violet look really good too. But they're sharing like the same ring, so they're swapping the rings back and forth. This is just an example. You're not supposed to do that, right? Like, you're supposed to, you farm, you craft, you make progress, you build a hero, and then you start getting upgrades if you want for that hero. but they should be fully built, as in you're not always swapping gear around, so you technically shouldn't need that much gold. Only after I started actually farming that I realized, oh yeah, gold is not really an issue. It is an issue if you mass craft all the time and you get nothing out of it and you enhance a lot of garbage and then you end up not liking the piece anyway. Yeah, you're gonna waste a lot of gold. But I think with like strategy on how to use gold, I think it's fine. And then we have the free equip event, which they do talk about here, that the free equip event right now is literally hyped because it costs no gold. But once they reduce the gold so much, then free equip event is gonna be more lame, I guess. So people are not looking forward to it as much. People are not saving like all of the gear and then waiting for that day and then bam, and then spending a lot of time interacting. We have to think about like the game as well, in terms of if you're not interacting with builds and stuff, you're most likely just like using all your energy in hunts and it's just on repeat and you're not really interfacing with the game a lot. Maybe you do your arena, maybe you do your guild war, but you're not interfacing with the game a lot. But on free equip events, I can guarantee, because I myself, I feel that way too, I spend more time in the game, looking at builds, looking at, okay, who do I want to improve? What kind of gear have I gotten in the past like month or so? And then like, has it an upgrade for anyone? And then you look at the refinement, reforging materials, and then you make your adjustments there. So I think energy wise, they're not going to change the an energy gain for Leaf and Skystone, by the way, but they want to give it, like, they want to give you the stuff you gain from the hunts in other ways. So the expeditions, for example, gets you the reforged materials, so you don't need to maybe hunt all day for it now. And you get the free entrance in your expeditions now too, so it's just a lot better. Anyways, are there any plans to improve the expeditions? They're talking about a new boss coming. Most likely, hopefully, it's an Azimatic reforged material drop boss. That would be nice, because that's a big struggle right now for me. Dagger Sidecar is coming, so it's like add guild reputations, guardian enhancements, Dagger Sidecar. Dagger Sidecar is already gonna be coming. That's great. They don't talk about the other stuff in here, which is kind of odd. They didn't really answer the full question. Guild reputations and the guardian enhancement. But anyways, are there any plans to improve hero friendship levels? Yeah, this is the thing they're talking about. They're thinking about having some kind of gift, something you could feed it to, kind of like you do to your pets. Affinity. It's called affinity. I forgot what it's called. Maybe it's affinity. And then they can level up your friendship and then in turn get some free skill enhancement. So that's cool. IP collaboration questions. Yeah, so this is the thing I was talking about in part 1 of this this breakdown when we looked at the episode 3 reveal. It would be great. I think they could start with maybe a webtoon or something like that. That way they can lay out, without having so much invested into it, lay out the story a bit better, lay out the pacing a bit better, and then maybe have an anime adaptation after. Like, you see a lot of that stuff in some of the webtoons that are animes now. They literally have the webtoon first, so they lay out the story, lay out the characters, and then the pacing of the anime becomes easier. It's almost like creating a very like fine-tuned storyboard and then animating on top of it instead of just going to anime straight away. Luna or other figures as Luna or other heroes as figurines. They said no, not for sale. Feels bad. I really want a Luna figure, by the way. Smilegate. I want one. Are there any plans for collaboration with the new IP? This is cool. So we are planning a collaboration with a well-known IP during the first half of the new year, or the next year. We'll prepare well and approach as perfectionists. I love how they said it. Like, approach it as perfectionists. I already think that you guys are. So that's no suck up, man. I'm not sucking up. I really do think they're perfectionists. But I love that they actually say it. Partnering with an incredible IP and providing the best quality to our heirs. There's a lot of guesses of what's going on. That, you know, what possible thing. But I mean, we had our guesses when Guilty Gear collab was coming back as well. It's like, oh, what's the new collab? But it turned out to be Guilty Gear. Imagine it's Guilty Gear again. But there's a lot of guesses. People are thinking Azure Lane, because the mechas, potentially even near Automata as well, since that game has gotten has collabed with a lot of gacha games, even recently. I mean, they have in the past, but even recently as well. So I don't know. There's other stuff too. People have their hopeful wishes, like Persona 5 and stuff like that, but we'll have to see. Future development plans for Epic 7. So here's a schedule of the half of the year. So this is packed. This is very good. So very good breakdown. In September, we'll have episode 3. Artifact, the inventory, will have mass promotion. October, we'll have the coin shop. We'll have special side stories for the Full Moon Festival and Halloween. Again, if you haven't watched part 1 of the video, where I break it down, that stuff is hype, man. We got some skins potentially. We got some new heroes potentially. New hunt, new equipment sets, expedition renewal, and then Dagger Sidecar in November 11th. Or sorry, not November 11th, but in November. So that's fantastic, man. That's very, very close. Super hype. Because we're already hitting September anyway. And then in December, we got special Christmas side story, and then we got a gift system, and then mass summoning, max 10. So they're aiming for that. Even though in the mass summoning section, they said that they're not sure if they can do it. They're aiming for it because they're putting like kind of like a, and they've been pretty good at delivering this time. Not like in 2019 or 2018's reveal of what's happening coming in 2019. They said all this stuff and then it was just all the stuff was delayed. They're getting really good at hitting the marks. So I'll take their word for it. I think the mass summoning will be figured out by December. And then to be determined, Archimon Mercedes guaranteed summon for limited artifacts. So TBD, Archimon Mercedes, but not Straze mentioned here. So it might be that Archimon Mercedes may be the first hero to be released in terms of those two. Alright, those two boss figures. Yeah, so what is the current operation process and how will it change in the future? Yeah, we've been doing our best in order to become an evolving Epic 7 by listening to our Air's voice and applying them to the game, such as our new content update and UI UX improvements. It's fantastic stuff, man. If there's anybody who works for Smilegate on any sort of level and you're hearing this, honestly, like, you guys have pulled off something really good. And I'm not kidding, man. You had some setbacks in 2019. But you really made it up this year, so I really think that you guys are doing great, and I have a lot of hope this coming in the future. The new UI UX improvements, I myself being a UI UX designer, I have to say, like, those are fantastic stuff. I've never seen love in a game UI UX wise as good as Epic 7 in terms of like the turnaround of changing stuff. You don't see that, not even in AAA titles. You don't see that. Like, it might be like a once a year thing that they patch or something, but they're doing this by like a month to month basis, like taking out different pieces. But that's just, sorry, nerdy talk. In regard to bringing regular live streams, so that Desperado, Mashi, and New as well. Really good job, guys. I mean, the stuff that you run, although I have to say sometimes it's pretty cringe. It's good. Like, you're doing, like, the community loves it, and it loves the communication with you guys. So honestly, big shout out to you guys as well. Very good job. And we'll try our best to listen to our heirs' voices and do the best we can to order evolve with our heirs. Very cool stuff. Yeah, so very big congrats, and those are my thoughts and my highlights for this Q&A here. Very hopeful for the new stuff. I'm really looking forward to, I think, mainly the hunts. The new hunts and the new sets. I really want to see what that looks like. I know it's going to change. It's going to change the meta, since they really want to address this tanky like meta. And if they're not addressing it based on nerfing individual heroes, these sets are going to be monumental, I think. They're going to be game changers, and that may feel a bit uncomfortable, I think, for some people, but that is, I think, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to. At least in this Q&A section here. And I was going to end this for the video recording. Thank you guys for watching this as usual. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube as you haven't, and if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time.